Oh boy, crypto markets in sell-off mode. We're going to talk about why they're selling off, why I believe one big story that's happening that isn't being talked about needs to be talked about. We're going to explain what I'm doing, and we're going to take a breath here. Let everybody together. All right, welcome to DG Trades, everyone. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion and what I am doing with the markets, and you do what you do because you are an adult. Now, let's talk about why we're seeing the moves in Bitcoin that we're seeing, and I don't see this being talked about a lot on the internet, so let's just jump into it, and then we'll get to the technical analysis. We're talking about an on-chain analyst named Willy Woo that I follow. He's saying, here's what's keeping Bitcoin from rallying to an all-new time high, and he's talking about basically shorts coming in droves, and the reason that they are, well, look at this. When futures came out, a lot of shorts come to it. Look at the hedge funds. Hedge funds are short all-time peak right over here. I mean, if you look at this area, they've been shorting it. Now, why are they shorting futures so harshly? Well, first off, hedge funds, they get involved in shorts only, long short equity strategies, market neutral strategies. These people are going in and they're shorting what they believe to be an area that's prime to make some money. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to crash here, but it does mean that there's probably a correction on its way. This story has hit about Mt. Gox, okay? Now, Mt. Gox, if you're not familiar, is a Bitcoin exchange based in Shibuya, Tokyo, Japan, was handling over 70 to 80% of all the Bitcoin transactions worldwide in 2014. They got suspended, trading closed its website and exchange services. Like a lot of people that were in Mt. Gox back in the day, they got screwed. But they announced that approximately 850,000 Bitcoins belonging to customers of the company were missing and likely stolen, an amount at that time that was only 500 million. Now Mt. Gox is saying, hey, well, we don't know how this appeared here, but we have 200,000 Bitcoins. Now, this story did appear around October, and 141,000 of the coins are with Mt. Gox's trustee Kobayashi and will be distributed on November 20th. Now, that's going to release some supply of Bitcoin into the market. Now, how much, we'll get over the numbers here soon. Here we go again. Mark Carpal, former CEO of Mt. Gox, attends a news conference in Tokyo in 2017. This guy is just a criminal, essentially. But this news hit in the Japan Times sometime around October, which is interesting because you can see here in October, that's when you're seeing all this short interest, and it aligns, I believe, with this story. And I think you're seeing a lot of hedge funds come in shorting and manipulating price, keeping a suppression on it. And we saw it break last night. Mt. Gox creditors to get billions in Bitcoin after plan approved. So now the portion of Bitcoins that were found mysteriously might hit the market and give us sell side pressure through November 20th. Again, this story back in October 20th, and if you look here at the all-time high was around the beginning of November. In October we were having a march in the 60,000 of this accumulation phase, and then we got a peak. But we'll get back into the technicals, and I'll show you what I believe may happen. So here we have that information. Open interest of Bitcoin futures by trader category. Again, you're seeing hedge funds taking the biggest short positions, as they do. I mean, that is expected, and they're doing it based off of this news most likely, and they're trying to get people in at lower prices. They want to get back in at like lower prices. They missed out. So basically they're like, okay, we need to take this price down so that we can buy on the way down, is what I believe is going to be happening here. So if you see the about 141,000 of this of the Bitcoin are in the hands of the trustee, meaning the total amount at stake is over 9 billion going by Bitcoin's current price. So here you can see current price, well, was the current price. Now we're at 60,000, but the value is around 9 billion that is currently in this trust. And the total market cap of Bitcoin is, 1.2 trillion dollars. So we're talking about a minor percentage. Mt Gox distribution percent of market cap is 0.75%. The percent of Bitcoin on the exchanges that this could release 7%. Assuming that half cell, that's around 4.5 trillion. So, it's considerable if all of this was like released into the market, and people who are getting these refunds from Mt. Gox are just like, so. And, if you look at, like, I think somewhere around a 40,000% increase from where they got jacked from Mt. Gox, and these creditors that are getting reimbursed, are they going to hold? Are they going to sell? I think you're going to see a bit of selling. I do think a lot of that is going to get released will sell, but not all of it. And again, we could see the amount that is in the hands of the trustees is, again, not too substantial. Again, around 9 billion, assuming half cell. I'm sorry, that was 4.5 billion, not 4.5 trillion. My apologies. That would be quite a different story, considering that the market cap of BTC is only 1.2 trillion. My apologies. Let me backstep on that. My apologies. So assuming that half cell, that's 4.5 billion, not trillion. And then again, the value of this is 9 billion. So if half cell, that's 4 billion out of 1.2 trillion. So that puts things in perspective. And then here we've got the math today. Apparently, 1.7 billion will go to 10,000 creditors, potentially introducing the sell side pressure. Around the 20th of November is when this event happens. And all the math you need is right here. I would just say personally that I don't think a lot of this will be sold, but if it does, it could again bring down prices substantially. And here is an example of what happened last time that this had happened when this amount of Bitcoin was released in the market. And you can see a fairly substantial drop, and but then it absorbed it, and as the market does, and you've got right here Bitcoin claims. You've got the amount of the amount that these creditors are going to be paid out. So for every 10 BTC, they're now getting 1.4 BTC. So they're not getting their full amount back. And if you look at what they're getting paid per 10 BTC, it's around 97,000, about 100,000, give or take a couple dollars. So around 100,000 per 10 Bitcoin. So like they're still making out. They're still making out. I mean, hell, the price back then was nowhere near what it is now. So the question is, will they hold out for another percentage increase, or will they just sell right off the bat? And so here we go. Will November 20th action crash the markets? We are only talking about 26,000 BTC, in terms of what is going to be paid out to creditors after the difference of the 10-to-1 BTC reimbursement. And most Mt. Gox victims sold positions to a third party for 14,000 in 2018. Many will hold, most likely. I mean, Bitcoin compared to our market environment right now, it's very inflationary. You are seeing a stronger dollar, however, but these numbers, really, inflation is all around us. Everything is costing more. True inflation is more likely around 15% than what the government is reporting right now, which to me is just the government trying to find a way to tell you that everything's okay and the sky isn't falling. But the trustee will be sending most of the BTC to wallets of the victims. Previously, the liquidator was selling BTC. Institutions are buying. They can swallow 26,000 BTC. And just to give you guys an understanding, around 520,000 Bitcoin are transacted every single day. So, like putting things into perspective right now, you're going to see a lot of people scared. You're going to see this news start to hit slowly. People will sell because the sky is falling and they're freaking out and they're worried. Oh, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. But like personally, I think Bitcoin's one of your safer assets compared to just about anything right now. I mean, like if you're gonna park it in a bank account, like in a savings, you're getting squat. Bonds are paying squat. Stock market looks a little bit toppy. And again, we're talking about a toppy stock market. We're talking about this particular set of news. We saw what happened in 2017 when a similar event happened, and it wasn't pretty. And you got to tread lightly right now. You have to tread very lightly right now. And I want to get into the technicals of Bitcoin to give you guys an idea of what I think could happen and the way I'm playing it. I'm seeing another Elliott wave, an impulse Elliott wave here. And for those of you that have been following me and have been watching the technical analysis, we saw consolidation under this support line right around September 27th. And I was admittedly worried about what was happening here. But we saw a break of this descending triangle right here. And as it broke, I was like, okay, let's see if we can get above this green line of support. We did. We hopped over, skipped to my Lou, my darling. We got ourselves a new all-time high. We dipped back down to this. There's a reason why I do this technical analysis. You can see all these lines that I believe are important lines with Bitcoin, support and resistance lines that play a factor into the psychology of where we believe Bitcoin price should be in the midterm. Within this year, this year, everything that's happened this year, it's a meteoric rise, no doubt. But I'm going to play it very carefully here, and I'm going to put some buys in this region from 58 down to 46. Now, going in real light. I got a very low amount of money in it right now, and what I'm hoping to see is that this holds over 60. If that holds over 60, that is very, very strong. But let me point a few things out that I'm seeing on the RSI and the MACD. So you're seeing a drop below 50 on RSI. I'm seeing, as price accumulates here, we're seeing RSI. We're seeing it slow down. So relative strength is slowing down. We are below 50 on the RSI on the daily. Okay, and we're going to switch over to weekly as well, and I'll show you because then the technical the RSI and the MACD do change as you change the time frames. But let's look at it on the daily first, and we're under the 50 right now. Some people might say this is like a bearish divergence that we're as price was going up here. You see RSI going down, and we did have a break and it played out. And like I said, you're probably going to see, because of all this news hitting like it is, and because of the amount of Bitcoin going to be released on the market, you're probably going to see more sell side pressure. In my opinion, that's what I think is going to happen. And then what I'm looking for is a break of the support line. And let me tell you what I'm looking for here. Very similar to what we see over here when it broke this support line. It's a scary place to be. But we did see consolidation here around 40,000. Now, we might see consolidation. Here's my next line. Here's my next line of support for Bitcoin, which is around the $52,000, $53,000 mark. Okay. If it goes down a little bit further, I'm a bit concerned. If it's going down in this area, I'm feeling like we might be getting into like a bearish territory. If it breaks down below 46, yes, then I do have a serious problem, and I start to think, okay, maybe we're seeing an all-time high here, and perhaps we're seeing a top. But in the very long term, very, very long term, we've seen Bitcoin perform. We know what it does, and if you're treading in lightly, I would say, this particular set of news, take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to accumulate in this 50,000 region. And I'm hoping for a pop-up. I'm hoping that what I'm hoping are that the hedge funds are shorting and taking profits around here, and that they will start long. They will start their long positions for another pop-up. Traditionally speaking, after Thanksgiving and then going into the end of the year, a lot of these managers want to have rosy portfolios and make everything look pretty and drop some of the things that aren't working and bring on some newer positions to go into the new year. I'm thinking that's what we're probably seeing here. Again, this is concerning to me as well. The MACD. Like we're seeing more momentum to the downside. Can Bitcoin hold 60,000? If Bitcoin can hold 60,000, that would be fantastic. If it finishes on the day above 60, that's considered in the short term strong for me. But looking at these indicators, it's a little bit iffy for me. That's why I'm saying I've got some buy orders down here in the 50,000 region. I think as low as 47. I think I put a order. I put orders in from like 58ish to, and I missed by this much. I had my buy order at 58,430, and I think the low of the day was 58,638. I literally missed my buy order, my limit, by $200, which is ridiculous. It's the shit that happens, and you just have to deal with it. But perhaps that was a blessing in disguise, because we might see more downside selling pressure. We have 4 days until the 20th. We could possibly, it's very likely that we will see something down in this region. Again, like I said, I'm going in very lightly. I would be very wary also with altcoins right now as well, because as we know, as Bitcoin goes, so does the altcoin market. And Bitcoin's usually a safer asset, even though it's volatile. Let's look at the weekly here and let's get a better idea of what's going on here. Okay, so again, on the weekly, we're seeing a completely different story. Let me remove this. And again, this is this is just the technical analysis here. You're seeing possibly a return to kind of like a bearish move here. And you're looking at, again, RSI being much higher and relative strength. And then on the relative strength, we're up around 62. So we're a little bit higher. On the MACD, we haven't seen a cross yet, but it almost looks imminent. So we got to see how Bitcoin is going to react here. And if we take a longer term view, this isn't the greatest view. This is not the greatest view if you're looking at the weekly. So you're going to have to be very nimble in these markets. Like I said, the way I'm playing it is I'm looking here. I've got buy orders down in this region, and I'm looking for another pop up into the 70s, into the 70 area. And that's a risky play. It is a trade. And that's just the way you got to look at it. So, set your stops accordingly to your own risk tolerance. Personally, the way I look at Bitcoin compared to any other asset right now, it just makes sense to me for me personally, that in the long-term plan of creating a system that is not corruptible, it's Bitcoin is a representation of everything that has not gotten digitized yet. So by that I mean property, and creating ownership, creating ownership in a day and age in which ownership is really in real estate about the only thing you can have right now. And with real estate, and inflation the way that it is, and pricing going up, I mean, we can see what has happened in the real estate market. And so, this as an asset class is really superior compared to, anything else out there right now. And so, long-term view, I'm cool. Short to midterm, I'm going to play it. And let's see how it works out. So hopefully this helped you guys. Just tread lightly. If you have substantial profits, take a little chunk off. My opinion, just my opinion, not financial advice. But I do think we will see the big institutions step in, and like Bitcoin's a keg, man, a powder keg. Wait, I've seen Bitcoin move thousands and thousands in a matter of minutes, and so it can go either direction, right? And we could be entering a longer phase here, according to some of the research I've been looking into, and some of the people that I follow talking about a super cycle going into next year. I think as an asset class, people are taking it more seriously. I think with adoption, we've got a different environment on Bitcoin than we did in 2017. And we've got more players in it. It's being taken more seriously. And we might not get like these crazy moves. We might not get like these big crazy moves anymore. We don't know. Just take a breath, put your stops in, and here are very important levels. If I was somebody that didn't have a lot of money and I wanted to just be as safe as I can on the very, very long term, these levels are great levels. So you got 58, 52, 46, 39, 32, 19. So if we do get into this really long extended bearish scenario, be careful, because it could hit very, very low. But the market's very toppy as well. So I'm in this with you guys. but if I were somebody who had a very long-term view, years out, I would look at these lines, and personally and I might even do this, just shove a little money in at each of these, this will be my bearish plan, right? And put in limit orders at these areas, and go heavier and heavier as it goes down. Worst case bear scenario, but just to have those limit orders in there, and then, ride it out. Just ride it out. It could be that we're not ever going to see this level here, this $19,000 level again. But is it possible to go down to 30? Yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? In my opinion, no. I don't. In my opinion, I think personally, the floor is somewhere in the 40s, possibly even 50. But again, we'll just have to see how the market digests this. We'll have to see, like, if institutions do hop in hard in the 50s, and we might not drop 60. 60 might actually hold, and if 60 holds, it is off to the races. But again, I would say November 20th, we're going to see up until November 20th, and even into November 20th, and maybe a couple days after, we might still see sell side pressure. And like, I do see another leg up personally, in my opinion, from Thanksgiving going into December, and then I'll just analyze it looking forward from there. So let's just see what's going to happen. I'm also in SEOUL as well, and just a very basic chart right here, how I'm playing SEOUL. I have a 145 cost average in SEOUL, so I'm still doing fine here. I did buy on this blue line at 217. I got hit twice. And then I have a couple buys ranging down here at 200 from 1 to 176. So I've got a couple buy orders in this region here. Sorry, I was busy pointing in OBS, not so yeah, I've got a couple buy regions, and apologies on the heater. My heater's kicking in. I'm in Ohio, and it's very cold. So I've got a couple buy orders in this region. And if it breaks down to 176, then you got the 176 to 137 area. And at that point, if it does break down to that, I think momentum has failed. This line is very important. This baseline, this trend, this bullish trend line, to me, we can see a wedge here forming in SEOUL. And there was actually two wedges. There was this base wedge where it had broken. This particular wedge, it broke down, and support was like around 137. Tapped up off of that, and then played this wedge to the point, broke it to the top, tested it, and then shot straight up. So this area also very important around the 157 mark. So 176, 157. Is it going to get down there? I'm not quite sure. But I do have orders all the way down to 176. So I think I spaced them every $10. And you know, I'm hoping for a bounce off of 176 if it were to go down to that level. I'm not saying it will, but I'm prepared for it if in fact we do have a big break of this wedge to the downside. I've got that locked. ADA completely backfired on me. You know, it reversed, and I'm just over ADA right now. So I'm gonna stake the ADA I have. And, you know, like, unless some miracle happens, I think like with ADA, we're seeing that momentum that was so very important to the coin being lost if it can't get back over $2. So I don't even want to talk about ADA. It's got me upset. So we'll see how the market goes. Take a breath, everybody. Take a breath. Be prepared. Set your limit orders if you believe we're going up from here. If you believe it's going to go into bearish territory, then plan accordingly, and, you know, take profits if you got them, and you know, keep some positions. Again, opinion, not advice. I wouldn't totally move everything out, in my opinion, of crypto. I think there is possibility for another leg up, but I think with this story we're gonna get very similar to what we saw here in SEOUL, very similar to what we saw here in Bitcoin. We could easily be just, you know, going down to consolidate and then powering back up. It's, you know, these markets, it's crazy, and money's got to go somewhere, and there is so much supply of money right now. There are so many dollar bills, so many stimulus checks, so much stimulus money. It's got to go somewhere. People are not going to park it in a bank. People are not going to park it in a bank. Again, my opinion. So anyway, that is the report this morning. I hope this news helped you. I hope the technical analysis helped you. And just trade nimbly. Set your stops. That's what we say here. Be prepared for the worst. Set yourself up for the best. And we just follow these markets. And that's what we do. And this is the technical analysis here on the channel. I hope you guys appreciate it. Thank you for joining me here this morning on DG Trades. And I will see you on the next vid.